Hi everybody, and thank you for coming today, and welcome to our activities questions for candidates. So unfortunately we do not have Bassett, one of our activities candidates, with us today. So instead we're going to send him the questions, and he will answer them in his own time. So keep an eye out on, I think, will it be on his campaign or ours? On his campaign Instagram for his answers to our questions. Okay, great. So we'll get started. So welcome both of you, Christian and David. So I'm just going to ask you both to have an opening statement. It's about a minute long, and Christian, will go for you first.
Hi, so I'm Christian. If you guys haven't read my manifesto already, I've got 4 top priorities, which include organising more music and art-based events around campus, improving campus sustainability efforts, improving communications between the SU and society committees, and finally, organising some more multi- or inter-society events.
Thank you, Christian. David?
Hi, I'm David. I'm back. I'm ready to do it all over again. It's been a pleasure being your activities officer this year, and so much so, I'm willing to commit a 6th year of my life here. I absolutely love it here. It's a fantastic job, and I couldn't imagine being anywhere else next year. My manifesto focuses on extracurricular opportunities this year, and I would love to deliver on the promises I make, like I did last year. I know the value of extracurricular activities, and as a student, I know that paying $9,000 a year, you're looking to have the best value and the best time here. And I would look forward to talking about my policies and telling you why you should vote for me again.
Fantastic. Thank you, David. Okay, so we're going to move on to our questions. You're going to have 2 minutes per candidate to answer these questions, so a bit longer than that 1 minute statement, which is good. So first question, Christian, we're going to come to you first. What do you believe is the single most important issue that the activities officer for 24/25 will need to prioritise?
I believe that students need a bit more of a way to relax during term time, as a lot of students that I know tend to focus on study all through term and don't really give themselves a break until after exams are done. So I believe activity officer for the next year should be organising more pop-up events on the parades every day or every week to give students a bit more of a break.
Great, thank you, Christian. David?
I think some really big issues are space and storage for societies. So like it's Bath, it's a very small place. Even on campus, it's even smaller because we're restricted by the Greenbelt. So we don't have many places to store sports equipment and society and volunteering group equipment as well. And just having places to practice, for example, for the arts groups, or like having the Edge Theatre, for example, it's always booked out. The Edge is literally constantly in use, and you're really struggling to find a place to practice and do what you love. And yeah, just that space is a really big issue, which I think you should be focused on.
Amazing, thank you both, really good answers there. So moving on to question 2, and David, we're going to come to you first. Tell us what you think you would bring to the role, drawing on both your previous experiences and general knowledge of what it's like to be a student in higher education, or was for your case.
I think just the experience of having a year already in the role. So we start in June, and you spend the first 3 months over the summer holidays not really doing a lot, because you're training, you're learning the job, you're learning who's who, you're learning essentially where left and right are. And it's really hard to do anything when you have so much free time, but there's nothing really to do. So this year, instead of having to go through like 2 or 3 months of training before Freshers Week, I actually get to just hit the ground running and just continuing my work that I've got this year and the work I want to do next year. And I think I also bring a love of the job. I love this job. It's just, I'm down to do anything, really. If it's fun. I think that SU's lost a bit of the fun side of it recently, and I think it's just bringing it back and making it like it's not all scary, it's not all like red tape that we want to stop and being the fun police. It's about like explaining why and being really transparent and saying like, look, this is why it's here, but here's the alternative, something fun to do.
Great, thank you, David. Christian?
I believe I have experience for this role, as I've helped organise and assist in many events throughout my life, such as in 2018 I helped organise a charity event to raise over £1,000 for my local YMCA. And on top of that, as I mentioned earlier, one of my top priorities is organising music events. Some of you may know that I am in a band. I have also helped assist in organising both of the previous 2 Lime Tree music nights. So I know that I will be able to create these events efficiently through the people I know and my experience of already organising such events.
Great, thank you both. Okay, next question. And Christian, we're going to come to you first. The activities officer remit is incredibly varied. You'll be expected to work with an array of student groups. For example, 1 minute you could be supporting our faith groups, whilst the next minute you could be liaising with musical theatre. What would you do as activities officer to make sure you represent the interests of all your student groups?
So one idea I have is to let student groups know my available hours if they want to talk to me just casually over a cup of tea or coffee, even if that's with multiple student groups at a time, so they can also communicate between each other. That will also help improve the multi-society events going on. I'll also focus on time management to make sure that no student group gets less concentration than another student group.
Great, thank you, Christian. David?
I think I do a pretty decent job of making sure everyone's represented now. So people send me emails all the time, and I'm very open. I always try and make groups or reserve time for student groups to meet me. Just like I have a general committee workshop, which is where the committees come. They can learn a few things from a PowerPoint, or they can come and just like question me like in front of everyone, which is fine because it's my job. I'm supposed to be able to be held accountable. Newsletters as well and emails. And just having like the fortnightly blogs that we have is like just being like, guys, like I've been really busy, but this is why, this is what I've been doing. Like there's a reason I've been super busy and packed up these past couple of weeks. Just stuff like that. I'm just telling people like what I'm up to, and like, I'm always open to a quick 30-minute call, 10-minute call, or just walking through the Edge office.
Great, thank you both. Really good answers there. Okay, next question. David, we're going to come to you. How do you plan to work with the wider officer team to improve the overall experience for students at Bath?
I think it's seeing what their priorities are and seeing which areas we can work together on. So, for example, right now I would work with a PG officer to work on postgraduate engagement, because postgraduates, they tend to be engaged with societies and activities and student groups less than other groups. So it's working with areas where we have like crossover, and it should be just seeing who wants to work on what and spreading out the work quite evenly and quite nicely.
Nice, thanks David. Christian?
Yeah, pretty much be the same again, working collaboratively in where we overlap, such as if an event may have some sports involvement, of course, working with the sports officer, trying to get the postgrads included as well. Yeah, pretty much the same answer, to be honest.
Okay, great, thank you both. Okay, next question. David, going to come to you again. In each of your manifestos, you have referenced the importance of sustainability. Can you explain an initiative that you would introduce to positively improve sustainability at the University of Bath?
Just programs to reward sustainability. So currently there is the exchange cups where you get 20p off, and also where the oat milk, for example, in like 4 West is like the default. And if you want to have like a normal milk, like you have to ask for it. It's like making choices that where they're like really conscious to try and make a certain choice. And like you like inadvertently, for example, like oat milk, you didn't even notice that it was oat milk unless they said, do you have allergies? Yeah, again, like rewarding, so people are incentivized to do it, especially in the cost of living crisis. So with the pizza trays that they have at the moment, it's like 20p off the pizza. Again, it's not much, but if you go have pizza a lot, it all adds up. And also that's, it's 10 boxes if you have 10 that you would normally have used up instead of just having one.
Great answer, David. Thank you. Christian?
So one idea I have to encourage people to go for more sustainable options is encouraging societies to organise pro-sustainability or eco-friendly events. And if they can provide a good reason of why it's eco-friendly, sustainable, then I'll try to put a bit more SU support towards that event or that society to help encourage them for these sort of events.
Great, thank you. Fantastic. Moving on to our next question, and Christian, we are coming to you first. One of the key areas referenced in all your manifestos is the importance of arts to our students. As activities officer, how would you make these opportunities within the arts more accessible for our students?
So this would be by organised events where they don't have to pay as much for the equipment costs, because I know from doing arts myself, the equipment can be quite expensive nowadays, especially if you want good quality. So it'd be organising events where they either don't have to pay or have to pay very little. or also organising multi-society events, maybe getting the Tabletop Society, for example, to do a miniatures painting session. This could also involve bringing in companies from the city centre who are involved in arts as well.
Yeah. Nice, great answer. Thank you. David?
So it's a question of accessibility.
Yep.
And like the cost.
Whatever way you take accessibility.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
So obviously having an accessible and affordable offer, especially during the cost of living crisis, is really important. So we're seeing like costs go up everywhere, which means the costs to run activities. So like you're thinking like coaches to competitions is really expensive. And I think having a conversation or having just talking to the groups and talking to SU staff saying how can we make a really sustainable offer that isn't reliant on money from alumni fund donors or the SU like central pot. I think it's really important, because otherwise if the pot wasn't there for some reason, we lost all that money and there was no support there, so how would you continue your activities? You simply would not. And I think having that, the trials is really like nice as well. So having the tastes that we already have, having the take a break and the central offer that we provide is really important, because it's, yes, there might not be many people going to it, but the people who go, I can guarantee you they really appreciate the free offer that we have.
Great, thank you. Really good answers. Okay, so we're going to move on to some questions that students have submitted. So we've got 3 of these. Christian, we're going to come to you first. A student has asked, what does inclusivity mean to you? What actions would you take to ensure this is seen across campus?
So inclusivity, I feel like a lot of the time people push to tick boxes for inclusivity. So as much as we do need to make sure everybody from every background is involved, sometimes by pushing it a little too far, they almost feel a little used, so to say. So I want to try and, again, like with the promoting eco-friendly events with societies, help promote events that are inclusive but not pushing it too far so as to do negative damage.
Okay, all right, thank you. And David?
Inclusivity, I think it means to me is like how you feel as part of a community, and the community, it could be whatever you want it to be. So part of society, sports club, or just like the mates you make in your first year flat, and you see them and you live with them for the whole time. I think it's whatever you make it to be, and it's part of the student experience. And what I would do is just, we're doing a lot of work already. I think we're being very inclusive as well. So like stuff like gender neutral toilets in the Edge, so anyone can use them. Like practically, they're just a room. Like, why do we need a separation? There's nothing like gender specific in them. It's stuff like that where you think like it's the little things that just add up to really, really big things. And it's not like we should have like a massive EDI day every day, because that's not how it works. Because then you do one day and then you forget. But then if you have it constantly, so like in an event planner where you say, have you considered these accessibility requirements or being inclusive of everyone? So having like no alcohol, for example, at an event. So it's just thinking about the little things that they just all add up to be one thing.
Yeah, great. Thank you, David. Okay, David, going to come to you next. And another student question. What is something unique that you bring to the role?
I love this job. My mum would be very angry if I don't have a job next year. And I think just having an actual love of the job. People do say like if you do love the job, like you'll never work a day in your life. And yes, there are really boring parts of the job where you're just in meetings all day. But then there's other parts where you see the event a society's made all themselves, and all you have to do is just say like yes, like you're fine to have the money for it. I think it's just like seeing and really appreciating what they're doing, and trying to make it work, and not being like, I don't want to do this because it's so much work for me, but like you just help them out where you can. And I think having the relationships that I've built as well, and being really good at interacting with people. I just love talking to people. I just talk all day, as I am doing right now.
Great, thanks, David. Christian?
Again, as I said earlier, I'm quite involved in music and arts, so I feel like from my experience, not only organising events, but more specifically music and art-based events, I can provide quality events without too much stress or expenses.
Great, thanks both. Okay, and on to our last student question. Christian, we're going to come to you. A student has asked, with the shutting down of malls in the city, what will you do for the student music scene?
So my plan is to try and organise more music events all around campus. We're already working on the Lime Tree Music Nights, and we're refining that right now. There are ideas to do it in other places around campus, maybe venues that serve different music genres quite well. So I want to be able to provide these events for not just uni bands, but also Bath local bands to perform on campus as a local venue.
That sounds great. Thank you. David?
Moles was a big loss because it was such a grassroots place and they held so many events for our societies and for us as well. I think it's important that we continue to support these groups because they don't really have a place to go after. So I think having us as the plug and tub where you can book it out for large events, and it's again supporting your SU as well, having homegrown events that are in-house really reduces the cost. It's really accessible, but also like not limiting ourselves to just thinking what can we do as a campus, but like what connections can we make with the businesses in the city. There are still venues out there that we could be making use of. There's Grapes, for example, they have a live local band, but like you just have to ask. If you don't ask, you don't get, and it's about building those connections.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Cool. So just coming on to a question now for you both. David, we're going to go to you first. If you were Vice Chancellor for the day and had unlimited money, resource and opportunity, what would you do to improve the lives of students at Bath?
That's a really big question. Just give everyone money. I think that's the easiest one. I think it's so big that like you can do whatever you want. You just give every department money, but that's not the world we live in, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But like the priority, I think, would be like supporting students during the cost of living crisis, making sure there's affordable housing. So in an ideal world, like if I actually had all the money in the world and there was no limits, I'd just buy up all the houses, just turn them into like student property that's really cheap and accessible, like they do in the Nordics. Yeah. So it's all run by the SU and it's all like good quality and it's all affordable housing because they invested really early. So it's just, that's ideal, but I don't think we can do that.
Well, unlimited resources and money. Christian?
I think first thing I'd do is send out a poll to all the students to find out what areas need more funding and by how much. Say housing, of course, will need a lot more funding than, say, providing food or sanitary products. But then there may be more of a need for food or sanitary products. So it would be finding out what needs money and how much before I can equally share it out so that everyone is benefited in an equal amount.
Great, thanks guys. Honestly, I'm surprised no one said to pocket the money and run away with it, because that would be my answer. All right, and then a question from myself as chair, because we've got a bit more time. This is a little bit of a biased question coming from the sport officer, but yourselves as activities officer and the sport officer will oversee the largest amount of student groups in the Students' Union. How will you work together with the sport officer to make sure that all students have an equal opportunity to extracurricular activity? Oh, sorry, one of you first, David. Oh, there you go then, Chris.
So that would be meeting up regularly once a week, multiple times a week, maybe over a cup of coffee, or again meeting up with the student groups in an available space so we can all discuss at the same time. That way it reduces miscommunication through emails and texts, gets a clear message out to everyone.
Great, thank you. David?
Yeah, I think it's just echoing what Chris said. It's literally like you sit next to the sport officer.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Yeah, you sit next to the sport officer. It's pretty simple to just like give them a tap or like look on what their timetable is saying. Oh, look, could I grab you for a couple of minutes? Can I just Teams you, etc. It's like basically like what I do now with Abby, and it's pretty simple. It's not that difficult to just be like, can I have an hour of your time so we can plan out this thing with the society, because they keep asking me about sports, but you're the expert in sports, but it's my society. So it's just about working together, really clear communication, and just making sure there's no like duplication of work, because that's the most annoying thing.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Oh, we've just had an extra student question come in, so I'm going to ask you this one now. And David, we'll go to you first. What will you do to help the creation of new societies?
Kind of get like is there nothing else on that? Just
literally just that. You take it what you want.
Yeah. Well, give them a better start. For one, because they just start, like if a new society is affiliated, they just start in August and then they're kind of just left to their own, and they have 3 committee members. Then they have to co-opt and it's all over summer, and it's it's a really difficult process because there's 3 people who've never ever been in a society before, and they just have to learn how to run a society and event manage, and it's really difficult. So giving them a bit more tailored support, making sure everyone does the training, and because we have a training conference in April for new chairs, but if you're a new society, you never get to see that, and it's just making sure everyone does it, giving them a good start, and like it's hand holding them a bit. Be like, look, it's okay. Like if you fail the first time, like it's everyone fails a bit for your first event, but here's how you can do it better.
Nice, thank you. Christian?
So talking from experiences a few years ago, me and some friends tried to start the Star Wars Society, and unfortunately didn't manage to do anything as for funding reasons. Everything would be too expensive related to the name of Star Wars. So I believe that by setting up a network of current society committee members or previous committee members to give advice to people before they start the society and during the start of the society of how to get people's attentions, how to get them to join the society, take part in the events, all that sort of stuff.
Great, thank you. So we're pretty ahead of time because there's only 2 of you and we time kept for 3. So we'll give you the floor. Feel free to ask each other some healthy questions on maybe each other's manifesto, or Chris, if you want to hold David accountable for anything you feel like he hasn't done this year or you would have liked to have seen. Take the floor.
I'm not sure what to ask, really.
Sorry, I threw it on you a
My
bit.
favourite Star Wars character.
Oh, yes, please.
It's Anakin. He was misunderstood.
Good choice.
This is not the kind of questions I anticipated.
What's your favourite character?
Ooh, I think I'd have to go with Chewbacca.
Amateur. No, I like the clones as well, you know.
True.
Clones, elite. They were done wrong. You watching Bad Batch?
I haven't actually had time to. I
Bad
really
Batch is
wish
good.
I have.
You really
but-
should watch it. This is like a talk show now.
Okay, great. Healthy debate there, guys. Do you have any questions for each other? Because no worries, if not, we can move on.
I mean, no, I don't have questions.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
So, in relation to a few of the things I've seen on your manifesto, I think we're doing a fair few of those things already. So the food bins on campus, we have some outside of Fresh. We have them in the fountain as well, so where you can compost them. So they're like little green bins. Fair enough, like they are actually like really like out of the way, but like they do exist.
Okay.
Let's see. Inter-society events, I actually agree with you. We could do more. But I feel like a lot of them do that on their own already, and it's really hard to just do like a massive event. So we did like the multicultural day the other day. It took literally months of planning because it's like you have to get everyone ready, and then it was just after exams, so people weren't planning or they weren't here. But I like it is point taken. Like I think we could do more. So that with the World Cup coming, the World Cup event that we're having in the future in April, that is going to be a massive inter-society event where people will play football against each other. But like everyone loves football. Yeah. But like it's really hard to find something else that everyone else likes. So like, and that's also really accessible and like open to everyone else.
So yeah, that was one of the concerns I had. I'm still brainstorming some of the ideas for these inter or multi-society events. Maybe some of them will be tailored to the societies involved, but yeah, I do understand that with such a large group of people to consider, it will be hard to accomplish, but I'd still like to give it as much of an opportunity as I can.
I agree. It's also like it's hard as well because like if they just don't answer your emails, which happens a lot, it happens so much. It's really difficult to just say like, please do this, because if they don't answer, you can't assume that they're going to be there. And if it relies on student participation, it like you just won't happen.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Thanks, guys. Christian, do you have anything for Dave?
Not that I can think of, no.
All right. Fantastic. So that moves us on nicely to our last question. 2 minutes to answer this question each. Oh, wait. I've already asked that question. Never mind. Moving on to our closing statement from both of you. So you have 1 minute each for a closing statement. And Chris, take it away.
So yeah, again, if you haven't read my manifesto, please do. There's some more details in there. If you want any more details, please feel free to reach out to me, either by emailing me or messaging my Instagram. I'll do my best to answer you. And once polls open, remember to vote for confidence in Chris.
So thank you for listening. Even though I haven't added what I felt are really pressing issues right now, I've definitely not covered everything. Everyone has an individual need or an individual want that something they want to see, basically. Just please let me know. I'm always open to new ideas, whether it's here in the manifesto now during campaign week or next year, hopefully, if I'm here. The cost of living is still a thing. The housing crisis is very much still real, and it's a terrible state in Bath. But rest assured, these issues are still being looked at, even if I only have 3 or 4 months left here, and whoever picks up from me will be left in a really, really good place. So yeah, thank you for listening. Remember to stay down bad for Dave and vote.
Thanks. All
Probably
right.
for me.
Just quickly then, if you were a biscuit, what biscuit would you be? Dave, you first. I'm serious.
Yeah, but like you won't let us talk about Star Wars.
No,
But you ask about biscuits.
no, it's a question that's coming from a student. You have to answer it.
Would you like to go first? I need to think about all the biscuits I like.
Something long and thin.
Like
I could,
a wafer.
yeah, something like a wafer
Yeah.
maybe.
Pink wafer, yeah, or a chocolate finger.
I'm thinking either a bourbon. Bourbon?
Bourbon.
Yeah, bourbon.
Bourbon's
Is it? I don't know.
alcohol.
Bourbon?
Yeah,
I like
chocolate
both.
bourbon.
Chocolate bourbon or a rich tea biscuit.
Nice.
It's plain, but it's a banger. With tea.
Fair enough. Okay, all right. Thank you, guys, and thank you to everyone that came to watch and interacted. All right, that will be a close on our activities questions for candidates.